Lane Tech Soccer is on the air. 2 shutout victories over suburban opponents to start off the season for Lane Tech. But tonight they have what head coach Andrew Ricks calls their toughest test yet as the Lake Forest Scouts come to Lane Stadium for Lane Tech boys soccer's home opener here at Lane Stadium. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Alex Burstein above the 50-yard line here at Lane Stadium. You could not ask for a more perfect night for soccer. It's just under 80 degrees. There is very little humidity for Chicago here. There is not a cloud in the sky. Sun is setting. We'll have some under the lights soccer here probably by the second half. It is just a perfect night for some soccer action, and we have some really good teams that are going to be on the field here tonight, starting off with the visiting Lake Forest Scouts. They've had an up and down start to the season. They're going to come into tonight's contest with a 1-2 record. They finished in 6th place in the North Shore Classic North Shore Shootout to start off the year. They fell to Carmel in their opening game, won against Lakes, and then fell to Lake Forest Academy in the 5th place game. But they had some nice showings in those first couple of games, and really what we got to see most was the star power of number 9, Jack Rice, the senior. 3 games, 4 goals for him. He had He had 2 against Lakes, and he scored both of the goals against Carmel. So he has had a very good start to the season. He has just been scoring all over the place, and that is what we can expect out of him here tonight. 3 goals in 4 games. My apologies, folks. He had 1 in the opener and 2 in their second game. But either way, some very impressive numbers from Jack Rice to start off the season, and he'll hope to keep that going here tonight against Lane Tech. Lane Tech, meanwhile, defense has really been the key here early on for Lane. They have 2 shutout victories, but they have not scored more than 2 goals in a game. In their season opener against Glenbard North, it was 1-0, and the lone difference maker was a penalty goal by Kyle Holman, the senior defenseman. So they got a goal from a defenseman, but there was a lot of defense going on in that game. 2 penalty kick misses within a minute for Glenbard North, and Lane Tech was able to start off the season with a strong victory, 1-0. And then in the last game against Niles West, another good suburban opponent, a 2-0 win. They had 2 second-half goals here for Lane Tech. It was actually a brace coming off the foot of number 20, Mauro Ruiz, who has really been the star for this team so far. He's the leading scorer with 2 goals, and he's really our player to watch for Lane Tech tonight. I know it's kind of cliche going with the 2 top goal scorers, but in Rice and in Ruiz, you have 2 guys who can really score, and it may as well come down between which of those 2 players can score more here tonight between Lane Tech, because there is some good defense on both sides. So if one or both of those players can sneak some goals into the back of the net, that can be the difference maker for either one of those teams. Look like we are about 2 minutes to go until kickoff here from Lane Stadium, so we'll get your starting lineups first with the visiting Lake Forest Scouts. In goal tonight, it's going to be a junior, number 0, Charlie Walsh. He gets the start for the Scouts. Alongside him in the back, it's going to be number 3, Dominic Jaya, another junior. First senior on the roster for the Scouts is going to be number 5, Tommy Van Camp, getting the start. Alongside him on defense, it'll be number 6, another senior, Alex Giangiori. Also starting tonight, a sophomore, number 7, Bowden Ruprecht, one of 2 sophomores in the starting lineup tonight for Lake Forest. It's a really good mix of juniors, seniors, and sophomores in the lineup. That's really what you like to see as a high school team, and that's what we're seeing tonight out of this Scouts roster. Also starting for them, it'll be Joachim Shabaka, the senior, and then, of course, Jack Rice, the senior, who is the leading goal scorer. He gets a start here tonight. Also starting alongside those guys, it'll be the senior, number 12, Brennan Riley. Number 17, the defenseman, Kasha Prasad, and then finally it'll be number 19, another sophomore, as we mentioned, Tyler Bernstein. So those are your 11 starters here tonight for Lake Forest. As for Lane Sack, it's a somewhat similar lineup to what we saw through the first 2 games for Lane. They have been going back and forth between a couple of players, and this is how they will line up here tonight. In the back, it's going to be number 2, the senior Emiliano Gonzalez, next to him, and really one of the biggest leaders and best players early on this season for Lane Sack. It'll be Kyle Holman, number 3. Wilson Smijak, another really good player on the defensive side of things. He's a junior. He gets a start wearing number 4 here tonight. Ethan Pete, a junior defenseman, he gets the start here tonight wearing number 7. Brandon Diaz, number 11, a senior midfielder, will get the start for Lane Sack. Alongside him, Diego Maldonado, a senior wearing number 21. Benjamin Dopp gets the start, a junior wearing number 26. Oscar Frampton, number 24, a senior, gets the start. Camille Pluta, another senior playing in midfield wearing number 19, will get the start. We mentioned him earlier in the broadcast, but Mauro Ruiz, the top goal scorer for this Lane Sack team, is going to get the start here tonight. And then back in goal for Lane Sack, it's going to be Gael Rodriguez. He had an excellent first game of the season. He had 5 saves in that one. I mean, when you're a goalkeeper at the high school level in an 80-minute game, that's a lot to ask of a goalkeeper. He had made all of them, and that included a penalty kick save within a minute, a penalty kick save and a missed penalty. So he was getting into the head of those shooters for Glenbard North. He had an excellent first game. Second game, he didn't play. I'm not sure why he wasn't in the lineup. I forgot to ask that, but they brought up junior goalkeeper Andres Murdoch, who had a shutout victory against Niles West. He was called up to the varsity squad from JV and had that excellent game, and now they're going to turn back to Rodriguez, who looks to keep his scoreless streak going here tonight, and really Lane Sack is hoping to keep that scoreless streak going here tonight. They have gone 160 minutes without giving up a goal here this season. They're going to hope by the end of tonight it can be 240. There is 40 minutes on the clock here for Lane Sack. Here at Lane Sack. There is not a normal scoreboard, as they've been doing some renovations here at Lane Stadium. However, they have a makeshift scoreboard on the far end zone. We'll show you that later in the broadcast, but still does the job. There's 40 minutes on it, so for those of you unfamiliar with IHSA rules, it's going to be 40-minute halves, so an 80-minute game. Our first game here tonight, it was a junior varsity game. It got started kind of late, and it ended up just being a 60-minute game. I believe those are usually 70, but they did 30-minute halves, and then halftime was only 5 minutes long, so they've really rushed along the JV game so this one could get started mostly on time. Looks like first, the kickoff is going to be around 6:34, 6:35. It was originally slated for 6:30, so not bad at all here at Lane Stadium. As we mentioned, perfect weather. It is an excellent time for soccer, and we're just hoping to see if Lane Sack can get the victory here and get to 3-0 on the year. Alex Bernstein on the call as Lane Sack is going to take the field here at Lane Stadium for the first time this season, and this is actually the first time a Lane Sack team has taken the field at Lane Stadium this season. Only 3 teams that use it, tackle football, flag football, and boys soccer. Neither of the football teams have played a home game yet, and this is the home opener for boys soccer. So this is really the debut of Lane Sack soccer here and Lane Sack athletic teams here for the 2022-2023 school year. A decent crowd on hand to the right of us for Lane Sack. A couple of Lake Forest fans to our other side. It's a pretty decent drive up from Lake Forest here to Roscoe Village, especially with some rush hour traffic. So a nice showing by Lake Forest fans, and looks like we are just about ready to go. It's going to be Lake Forest kicking things off here in their all-white uniforms. As for Lane Sack, they are in their all-green uniforms. I think Lane Sack thought that they were going to be going with their white uniforms today. Their players were wearing their white jerseys during the school day today. However, they end up going with the green jerseys here tonight, and we are underway here at Lane Stadium. We'll see if Lane Sack can keep their scoreless streak alive on defense, and Lake Forest hoping to get a good win here this afternoon from Lane Stadium. As we mentioned, Jack Rice is our player to watch here for Lake Forrest. He'll be on the offensive side of things as this one goes off the foot of Lane Tech, and the Scouts are going to keep possession here early. Inbounding it will be Austin Okada. He had a goal earlier this season, a nice throw in there, but Lane Tech will get possession quickly. Diaz boots that one down the field. However, that one will go out of bounds, and Lane Tech will get possession back. Excuse me, Lake Forest will get possession back. 39 minutes and change to go here in the first half of play. It'll be interesting to see how the sun affects today's game. So right now the sun is setting right over the 50-yard line. So anyone who's playing on the right side of the field from our angle, so anyone playing on the near side of the field is going to have a lot of trouble looking to the other side of the field just because of where the sun is. By the second half, the sun should be mostly gone. Sunset set for around 7:30. However, that's definitely something to watch here early on as Lane Tech with some nice ball movement here. Dopp launches one from near the 30-yard line. That would have been a 40-yard shot. Sails left of the goal, though, and we'll see a second goal kick here this afternoon for the Scouts. In the JV game here today, it was a 3-0 win for Lane Tech, and what we saw out of Lane was just they had possession almost the whole game in the offensive half of things. We'll see if the varsity team can repeat that magic here as Diaz gets it. Midfielder plays it short, shot in, deflected by Lake Forest, and goalie Walsh will pick things up. Lake Forest has yet to have the ball in their offensive half of things, and it's going to be another turnover here. Lane Tech doing a really good job with ball control and defensive pressure here in the first 2.5 minutes of play. That is exactly what you want if you're a coach, as Lake Forest is going to try to send this one down the field, but back there on defense to get it is going to be Smijek. Turnover here in the offensive half of things for the Scouts. Here's Rice with it on the near side, trying to get past his defender. He can't, and Lane Tech almost triple teaming him there. That's what you have to do when you have a player of Rice's capability, and it works perfectly. Ruiz with it, passes it across the field, and now they'll work it back to Holman. Lane Tech playing with their defense very far up on the field. When I was talking with Coach Ricks before the game, he was saying how Holman's going to be playing near the front of the defense. He's one of the leaders on this team. He has a goal and an assist on the year so far, so he can have an impact on the offensive side of things, even as a defenseman. It'll be interesting to see what he can do here tonight. As the Scouts are going to play it here on the near side. That one goes bad off the foot of Prashad, and Lane Tech will get it back. Oh, they're going to say that was actually reflected there. My bad, folks. And Prasad's going to get to inbound it again. So the Scouts are going to keep possession here. Almost 4 minutes into the first half here from Lane Stadium. Alex Burstein on the call here on the Lane Tech Athletics YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to be back streaming some Lane Tech Athletics. It's a busy week for Lane Tech. It's a busy day for Lane Tech. Girls volleyball also playing their public league opener against Brooks. And then obviously here, boys soccer taking on Lake Forest. As a header here by Holman goes to the Scouts. Nice challenge there. It looks like injured there is going to be Smijek, who falls to the ground. He was limping there for a second. He's going to try to get up on his own. We'll see if he can. This would be a big loss for Lane Tech if he has to come out of the game. Still on the ground there, but doesn't look like he's in too much pain. We'll see in a second as Lane's trainer is going to come onto the field. And looks like we will have our first sub into the game for Lane Tech. We haven't seen a sub for either team yet, but looks like that is what they are going to do. And if I'm making out that number correctly, it's going to be Matthew Mendoza coming in for Lane Tech. A senior, started game 1 of the season. As one of 2 players who actually had a red card, I believe, in that first game. If Max Preps was correct, Lane Tech went down to 9 players against Glenbard North. As we're going to see Smijak walk off the field. Looks like a little limp, but he's able to do it on his own, and that's a good sign for Lane Tech. Hopefully he's okay, and hopefully he can come back later in this contest, or at least doesn't miss any future games for this Lane Tech squad. as Lake Forest is going to try to play it quickly, but I think Lane Tech needs to have their sub first, and they will, as here comes in Mendoza near the 50-yard line here. So Mendoza comes in as the first sub of the game for Lane Tech with just under 4 minutes, into this game. Apologies, folks. They paused the clock there, so our timer on the scoreboard got a little messed up, but we'll try to fix that soon. 35:35 is the time the clock has here at Lane Stadium left in the first half of play. Ruiz gets it near the defending 40-yard line. He's playing very far back for such a prolific goal scorer. I'm actually not sure if he's listed as a midfielder or a forward. We just know all he has done so great offensively here today, as Lane's going to try to push it. This is going to be a speed game, should go all the way back to the goalie, and Walsh is going to pick it up and scoop it with ease. Siad almost loses it here. Now he will. A couple of Lane Tech guys fighting there. What Lane Tech has done a really good job here early on of doing is whenever a Lake Forest guy gets the ball, it just seems like there's anywhere between 3 and 4 Lane Tech defenders coming on to try to force turnovers, and it has worked really well here. We have not seen a lot of possession for the Scouts here early on. Lane Tech controlling the pace of this game, which is obviously what they want to do. The one thing we've yet to see Lane Tech do is have a quality chance, and talking with Coach Ricks prior to this game, he was saying the one thing this team needs to do is they just need to finish with their chances. They've been able to find scoring chances here. What they haven't been able to do for the most part is finish them, and we'll see if that can change here tonight in their home opener against the Scouts. Long pass up the field, trying to chase that is going to be Frampton, who's playing on that right side forward position here tonight. He can't get it. It's headed away by a Lake Forest defender, and Lane Tech will keep possession with a throw in there on the far side of things. Give it back to Frampton, and that one's a little too far for him as well, so now they will turn it over to the Scouts. Last couple of possessions, we have seen some improved movement of the ball from Lake Forest. In the first couple of minutes, they were not even able to advance it out of their half. This past couple of times they have a bad pass there, and Lane Tech will get possession back. Quick give and go there on the offensive side of things for Lane, no good. Now with Dopp trying to attempt it, looked like he fell there. No foul will be called though, and the Scouts will get it back. Actually, it looks like they called a foul on Lane, actually. So somehow the Scouts will get it back here with 33 minutes to go in the opening half of play here from Lane Stadium. Lane Tech 2-0 on the year, hoping to keep that going here tonight. Rice gets it far side here to Prasad. Prasad running up the sideline there. Some nice defense there from Lane, and that's what we're saying. Once again, you have Mendoza there, but right next to him, you have his teammate number 2, Emiliano Gonzalez. You have those two guys right there. They're able to push it out of bounds and get Lane Tech back possession, and that's what's been working so well here tonight for Lane. Dopp trying to push it here. He's going to get it to Frampton. Frampton's had a lot of touches here in the last couple of minutes. Lane Tech kind of running their offense through the senior here through the first couple of minutes of play. 32 minutes now to go in the opening half. Diaz lifts one, running on is Ruiz, almost can get to it, but he won't. Standing at the very top of the box there was Walsh. That was a risky move by him. If Ruiz had gone even a foot on that, that likely would have been a goal for Lane Tech, but he can't place the foot on it, and it'll go to a goalkeeper save instead, as Diaz fighting for it, and coming in for the save is going to be the goalie, Rodriguez. We mentioned this earlier on, but Rodriguez did not play in Game 2 of this one, but in Game 2 of this season, but he has been very impressive here early on in Game 1 for Lane Tech, and gets his first save of the night. Not sure if that would officially count as a save, but gets his first touch there tonight, at least you could say. As unable to control it there, goes off the foot of Camille Pluta. I think that's the first time the ball has actually touched his foot here tonight. Apologies, folks. Looks like we're having a little bit of trouble with our clock on our score bug here tonight. We might just reset that to 0 and go to just announcing time updates here in a second. 30 minutes, 50 seconds left to go here in the first half. Thanks for joining us. Alex Burstein on the call here. Rice gets it. They've not been able to do much with their leading scorer here tonight. He's all had quick touches here for Lake Forest, and there's a couple other impact players here, but he's really the guy you have to stop if you're Lane Tech. And early on tonight, they have done their job. They have stopped him as they're going to send along this sideline here. Mendoza, he gets his first touch, an impressive touch there. Gets past one defender. He's driving on the left-hand side, and that's going to go off the body of one of the Lake Forest defenders here. Can't quite catch the number there for the Scouts, but a nice defensive effort. However, this will lead to the first corner kick of the night here for Lane Tech, and we will see if they can capitalize on it. Set pieces so important here in the high school game. Such an easy way to open up games as this one to the back of the goal. Header off the head of a Lake Forest player. At first was off the head of number 7, Ethan Pete for Lane Tech, and then it went off a couple other bodies before finally hitting the, I think, bottom of the goalpost because they whistled it dead. But it will be Lake Forest ball that looked like it was not going to be even close, as that ball, that corner kick was just sent to the back post. However, ended up working out pretty well for Lane Tech, and we'll see if they can capitalize on the set piece maybe later on this half. 29 minutes to go now here in the first half. 0-0 the score between Lane Tech and Lake Forest. Rice saves it. Chasing on there for the Scouts was Bernstein. However, he just cannot control the ball, and instead Pete will get it back. Pete sending Frampton. Frampton with a nice first touch. However, can't control it, and the Scouts will get it back. A lot of back and forth play here early on tonight between Lane Tech and Lake Forest. As we mentioned, Lake Forest looking to get back to 500 on the year. They started the year 500 with a 1-1 record before losing their third game of the year on Saturday, as Walsh catches this one near the goal. Walsh has done a good job here early on. One of 2 listed goalkeepers on this roster for Lake Forest. However, his kick here is going to be sent straight out of bounds, and Lane Tech will get it back. Inbounding it there is going to be Mendoza near the 50-yard line. And they're going to call a push on the back there by Rice, so Lane Tech will get it back. This is the last game in a long time for Lake Forest. They're not going to play another game of soccer for a week. Their next game coming on September 6th against Antioch, just August 30th here today. Lane Tech actually has a somewhat important and big week here, just a number of games and their opponents. Obviously, this one here is a big one as Ruiz tries to get the header there. They're going to push it away instead, and looks like Lane Tech will have yet another free throw. They play against Whitney Young on Thursday, and that's obviously a rivalry game. It's at Young. However, that should be an important matchup. Not a conference matchup for Lane Tech, but obviously a win they would like to have, as they're going to push this one far back to Rodriguez. He comes out about 20 yards away from his box, maybe 10 yards. Always hard to tell with these football markings on the soccer field. However, either way, he'll play it out safely. 26 minutes, 30 seconds to go in half number 1 of play. They get it here to the near side to Prasad. He has shown early on he is just hoping to drive up this near side of the field whenever he has a chance, playing in that right midfielder spot for the Scouts. One time he almost did it successfully, almost made it all the way to almost a goalie box for Lane Tech. That time not as much luck, as down low Diaz just can't get a foot on it, and Walsh will pick up the ball once again here. These last couple of drives up the field for Lane Tech, they've just been hammering it into the goalie box, and they are just 1 foot on the ball away from making this a 1-0 game. You can't really say the same about the Scouts just yet. They have not had any great chances here early on, but that could change in just a second here, obviously. So they control it, send it right back to Lane Tech's defense, though, with Holman. Holman's been playing very excellent early on, and now they're going to send it here on the near side, and in to get it is Rodriguez. It's really been a goalie's game here on defense early on. Goalies have come out of their goal box. They're not afraid to play a little aggressive, but they have not made any mistakes yet, as Holman's going to try to send Ruiz. Didn't get it on the first touch, chasing after the second touch, and sending it out of bounds is going to be for the Scouts. Number 6, Alex Giangiorgi, one of his first touches here tonight. Giangiorgi was part of the all-academic team for the North Suburban Conference last year. Very impressive. 16 guys on junior varsity and varsity named to all academic teams last year for Lake Forest. Truly some student athletes on this team. Obviously the same case with Lane Tech. So a lot of smart players on the field today, as we're going to see 3 substitutions come into the game here. Try to get you all of those real quickly. Just trying to check the numbers here. Looks like Colin Duras is going to come into the game, and we'll get you those other 2 momentarily. So Lane Tech looking for a new energy on the field. Crossing it in. They'll get it to Duras, who messes up his first touch here of the game, but luckily back there is Pete to keep it. Nice move there from the junior, who sends it to the far side. Looks like Diaz there receives the ball. About 30 yards out from the goal. A sliding save there by Pete. Almost sends it as a shot to the goal. However, it bounces off a Lake Forest player. Colin Duras chasing after it. Now here comes Gonzalez. Duras gained a lot of early touches here off the bench. We knew he'd be getting some playing time. He gets it about 17 minutes into the first half here, and Lane Tech's now going to have their second corner of the day. So we saw just a couple of minutes ago, Lane Tech had that first corner. They sent it to the back post. They got ahead on it, and if it weren't for some deflections, that probably would have gone in. They did get the deflections, though, off Lake Forest. We'll see what they can do here. This one headed by Ruiz just off the top right corner. Would have been an excellent goal there for Lane Tech, but just a little bit off the mark, and we'll stick at 0-0. Sub into the game now for the Scouts. That is their first sub of the afternoon. And looks like that's going to be the defenseman, number 18, Tyler Klein. Seems like whenever either of these teams sub in a player, they almost immediately get some touches on the ball. So it is showing that's helpful to have some new energy into the game. Another one of these new players for Lane Tech, Alex Zavala, almost turns it over there, but they'll pass it back to Holman, who keeps things going for Lane Tech. Gotta say, the most impressive line for Lane Tech here early on has been that defense with Holman and Pete. They've been able to keep it at like the 50-yard line or just on the offensive half for most of the time here today. And even when it's not, like right now, they obviously have clear control of the ball, as sending it up is Gonzalez, just a little too far there for Winston, who's another one of the subs into the game for Lane Tech. Henry Winston, a senior, playing in that right striker role right now for Lane Tech. 21 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the first half to play. Still a scoreless score here from Lane Tech. Neither team able to break the back of the net just yet. Lane Tech, though, trying to do that here. Lane Tech's done a really good job here early on of playing stuff both on the left and the right side. We haven't seen as many chances from the Scouts, but when they do, it's majority been from the right side. The Lane Tech offense has really been able to keep this Scouts defense guessing here as where they're going to go, as the header just missed there by Diaz. He was about 3 inches away from having a header goal there, and it would have been in the air, so it wouldn't have been offsides either. Missed chance there for Lane Tech, but still an encouraging sign that they are getting these chances. They're doing a good job here early on of getting their touches in, getting their touches in late in the offensive half, and we'll see if they can break this tie soon. Ruiz passing it to Duras. Duras playing in looks like the left side striker role. Loses it there, but there to pick it up is Zavala. So 2 guys who recently subbed into the game for Lane. Get it here, near side to Mendoza, who's going to play it back to Diaz. Diaz into Zavala. The header is a little bit of a collision there. 2 players on the ground. Looks like Zavala might be hurt there. He's still on the ground. The goalie Walsh for the Scouts was able to get up quickly, and following him is going to be Zavala. So a little bit of a scary collision there, but both the players able to get back quickly. And it seems like the idea for Lane Tech is that they think they can score best here off of possibly a header. Even when they're pretty close to the 50-yard line, they've just been hammering in some header attempts, and they've been getting close on a couple of these, so we'll see if they can finally score on one of them. 19:40 to go here in half number 1 of play. We see the field here getting a little bit darker as the minutes go by. Sun, as we mentioned, supposed to set around 7:30, which should be, my math is correct, around the start of the second half. Lights are just starting to turn on here at Lane Stadium, but they don't have any effect on the field here yet. Lane Tech advancing down the field with some free throws here. Mendoza trying to get it. Some nice effort there from number 19, Tyler Bernstein. The sophomore defender has been one of the more impressive players here early on for the Scouts. Seems like he is wherever the team needs him, as Duras can't get a good foot on this one, but Zavala's there to get it. He finds himself on the ground again, though, and coughs it up to the Scouts. 18:40 to go. First half of play. Alex Bernstein on the call here from Lane Stadium. Fun night of action here from Lane Stadium as the Lane Tech heads home for the first time this season for boys soccer. Mendoza with some nice moves there and plays it back to Gonzalez. Gonzalez has been a very solid player here today. Doesn't take a lot of dribbles with it, just gets it and passes it off pretty quickly. But sometimes that's all you can ask for in a player, and he has just been a great role player here early on for Lane Tech in this matchup with Lake Forest. I mentioned this in my opener, but head coach Andrew Ricks for Lane Tech said this is going to be their toughest challenge yet, as Duras almost was there for the reflection shot. However, he got tripped up on this field. There was some heavy rains yesterday in Chicago, but it was sunny all of today, so I cannot imagine that any of the players are suffering from slippery cleats here today. You also have the turf, so that's obviously helpful. Remember, Lane Tech's turf used to get very bubbly when it rained. However, I think they replaced it, and now it's a lot better to play after rain. Ray's trying to chase this one down, gets past 2 Lane Tech defenders. He's going to cross into the top of the box, and a nice challenge there from Mendoza to keep the leading scorer in this game for either team from getting his first shot of the night. And just an excellent challenge there from Mendoza. On the other side of things, Walsh comes up to the top of the box and is able to scoop up another one here. We'll see if Lane Tech can channel that into some momentum here. Diaz fighting for the ball, unable to get it. Instead, it'll be Giangiorgi for the Scouts. Holman gets possession back for Lane Tech. I'd love to see what the possession numbers here. Obviously, they don't track that in the high school game, as Winston fighting for it under the, in the 6-yard box, but unable to get it there. But a nice chance there for the senior. And Lane Tech really upping their offensive firepower here in the last couple minutes of play. Ruiz trying to go on the right-hand side. Zavala behind his back. Nice ball movement there from Lane Tech. However, interrupting it is one of the Lake Forest defenders. Almost was a beautiful sequence there for Lane Tech, and Holman's just going to send it a little too far to the right, and it will be a goal kick once again here for Walsh in goal for the Scouts. As we mentioned, there are 2 goalkeepers on this roster for Lake Forest. However, the other one is out for the night. So it'll definitely be Walsh, it looks like, for all 80 minutes of play. I'm not sure that Lake Forest has another goalkeeper they can use. Looking at their bench, I see mostly white jerseys, possibly one other. It's an interesting color that the goalkeeper has on for Lake Forest. It's not really a blue or gold, which is what I would expect for a Lake Forest team. That's primary colors are blue and gold. Lane Tech also has a red, so neither of these teams are really their school colors on in the goalie net. Looks like more of a maroon here, as this ball almost misplayed by Walsh. Chasing that one in was Zavala, but he does not get a good chance at it. DeRoss fighting for it. It's going to play it back here to Mendoza. Holman wearing that captain's armband. Gets past 3 defenders and plays a nice touch here to Diaz. Cross inside. Winston gets a foot on it. But there to kick it away is Jaya for the Scouts. Jaya had an assist earlier on this season. Has not had a big presence yet here today, but had a nice stop there for the Scouts, and we'll see if Lake Forest can turn that momentum into something here. 14:30 to go in the first half of play. 0-0 the score here at Lane Stadium. DeRoss coming on for defense. And gets the ball back here. Fighting with a couple of Lake Forest defenders. The Lake Forest defense should get their credit here tonight. Lane Tech has had a couple of chances, but they've not had many shots on goals. Most of them have been almost lucky headers, you could say. While the Lake Forest offense has not done much here today, the defense is doing what they need to do to keep the Scouts in this game, as crossing it in there is Mendoza. Can't get a foot on it. Holman almost rocketed one from about the 10-yard line. That would have been 20 yards out. However, unable to get past the defender right in front of him. Looked like there was some serious heat on that shot. You got to imagine that one would hurt off the leg of whoever was defending there for the Scouts. Playing it up. Saad. When Lake Forest does have the ball in the offensive half, they're sending 3 strikers up like they have right now as they try to find their first shot on goal of the night. They had a nice chance a couple of minutes ago, for those of you just joining us, with their leading goal scorer, Jack Rice, but an excellent tackle from Mendoza kept this a 0-0 game, as this one slow shot from Rice. He banged the ground after that one, was not happy with it, and nice routine save from Gael Rodriguez will keep this at a 0-0 game. 12:30 to go in the first half of play here from Lane Stadium. Long crossfield pass here to Mendoza. You can probably hear the wind. It's been windy all afternoon. It actually calmed down for most of the junior varsity game, but picking up a little bit here in the first half of the varsity game. It was a 3-0 win for Lane Tech in the JV game, so they're hoping to sweep the night against the Scouts. DeRoss trying to apply some pressure here for the Scouts. Gets a foot on it. He falls, though, and a nice play there by Austin Okada to stay on his feet and pass it up for the Scouts. Now chasing here near side, Ruprecht can't get it, and Rodriguez is there. Gonzalez is there to kick it away. A long send there on the far side. from one of the Lane Sack midfielders. Can't quite catch who that was from here. However, it goes a little too far, and Lane Sack's going to be forced to reset their offense here after getting the ball back quickly. It was interesting. Through the first 5 minutes of play, it seemed like there was a throw in just about every single possession. That slowed down. There had not been one in a couple of minutes, but we see the first one in a while there as Lake Forest throws it in. Lane Sack in their home green uniforms, going from right to left on your screen here tonight. All white uniforms for the Scouts, who are going left to right here on this Tuesday evening. It's a 6:30 p.m. kickoff. Ended up being about 6:35 actually, but pretty close to what we were expecting here, as that ball played just a little too far there from Klein. And in there for the scoop up is Rodriguez. Just over 10 minutes to go here in the first half of play. We've gone 30 minutes. No one's been able to break the back of the net yet. We'll see if Lane Sack has a chance to do it here. DuRoss chasing down the left-hand side. But there, we just talked about him, Tyler Klein, the junior defender. He was on the sophomore team last year, got named that best defensive role, and makes up for it. It just shows that there as he punches this one away. Lake Forest with 4 levels of teams. They have a freshman team, sophomore team, JV team, and varsity team. So it's definitely hard to make it onto the Scouts team. Lane Sack either has 3 or 4 too. Both of these schools just have such big soccer programs. What's really impressive with Lake Forest is this one sent a little too far. Winston trying to chase after it, and he's actually going to kick that one out of bounds. We'll see what the ref says. Looks like he may be pointing towards a corner there. And looks like it will be, so a little bit of a lucky break there on the call from the referee for Lane Sack. But as we were saying, Lake Forest is a 2A school, which means their school population is big, but it's not the biggest. Lane Sack's in 3A, so the fact that they're able to support 4 soccer teams is very impressive. As the cross to the back of the net, a sliding Pete there, unable to get a foot on it. And Lake Forest will receive possession here again. 9 minutes exactly on the clock to go here in the first half of play. Walsh sends a short pass here off the goal kick. It's almost immediately taken back by DuRoss for Lane Sack, who plays a quick pass but gets it back. Far side, crossing it in. Down low, that's Zavala. He can't get a good foot on it, and looks like we're going to go to another corner kick. We have seen 0 corner kicks on the day here for Lake Forest. This is going to be the 4th of the day for Lane Sack. They had 2 back-to-back almost, couple of about 15 minutes or so or go. And now 2 quick here as this one's sent, and that's going to hit the top of the rim. Seems like those ones are really aiming for Ethan Pete. The junior defenseman also plays baseball. Really good athlete there, but he's playing up in the offensive role here on the corner kicks as Lane Sack's going to get a throw in here on the far side of the field. Another cross in. That one just goes off the foot of Lake Forest defender DuRoss there to get it back quickly. Lake Forest has done a really good job these last couple of minutes of just really crowding into the box. This is what we said Lane Sack was doing so good with early on. They were just doing so good keeping any movement going with Lake Forest, because they would crowd around 4 or 5 guys and just automatically force turnovers. That's kind of what Lake Forest has been doing in the box the last couple of minutes. As Mendoza's going to get it into Devin Parikh, senior, getting one of his first touches here of the night. Holman chasing up the middle. Strong dribble there, holds off his defender. He still has it at his feet. Got it actually through the legs there of number 18, Tyler Klein. That would have been a very nice finish had Holman gotten a shot off there, but he gets slowed down there by, I think, the 4th or 5th defender that he encountered. As we're going to have a couple of subs into the game for Lake Forest. Coming in is going to be number 14, Jason Shocker. It's one of the better soccer names I've heard. Last name Shocker. That would be excellent goal call if he scores a goal. A shocker for Shocker. We'll see what he can do here as he makes his first appearance here of the day. Ruiz with some tight defense here. He gets a turnover in the box. They play it back to DuRoss. Lane Tech here has been somewhat hesitant of playing it super close in the box, and so we'll go for a goal kick once again. 6 minutes to go here in the first half of play, as Holman will get it once again for Lane Tech. Second foul of the night's going to be called on Lane Tech. We have not had to hear the whistle of the ref much here tonight, which is obviously exactly what you want to see in a soccer game. A lot of clean action from both of these squads, as we're going to see a steal here from Parikh. He has open field in front of him. We'll see what the senior can do. Fell a little bit there, loses the ball. We'll see if Lane Tech can recover. They can't, and Lake Forest will get it back. However, Lane Tech gets it a few seconds later. We've seen so many possessions for Lake Forest here last just 5 or 10 seconds. As Mendoza looks like he's calling for a header here. I'm not sure what signs Lane Tech uses. However, I assume when he's pointing towards above his head, he wants a header there, as Holman with a booming pass there to Parikh, who just cannot hold onto it on the near side. Nice effort there by the senior, but he can't get it to go. 4:47 to go, half number 1 of play here from Lane Stadium. Be interesting to see how long the halftime they go with. I haven't been to a boys game in quite a while here in high school. I believe it was 10 minutes. In the first game, they only went with 5 minutes to keep the game moving. As checking into the game for Lane Tech, going to be number 25, Simon Olsen. Excuse me, Max Dopp, not Olsen, who almost had a monster goal there just as we were talking to him. Dopp just lifted that one out from the 30-yard line. For those of you who are joining us, one of the first shots of the game was one just like that from Dopp. Launched one from near the same place, was just off the mark. That one was even closer, but can't finish there. As DuRoss fumbles the ball, and Scouts will get it back. Rice, who's had a quiet night here early on just because he's a striker, and there's not been much for the strikers to do here early on for the Scouts. Mendoza's going to play it back, and looks like Lane Tech may be slowing down their approach here. They've been playing a pretty fast-paced game here early on. Obviously, the players might be a little tired. We'll see if they slow it down here in the final 3.5 minutes of play. Mendoza sides one up the left-hand side. Zavala trying to track it down. He can't. Zavala was right behind him there. Had a chance to challenge for the ball. He decided not to. Kicked it out of bounds either way. Lake Forest number 13, Okada did. So Lane Tech will get possession back. Dopp gets it to Mendoza quickly. Ruiz, as he mentioned, coming off a 2-goal performance. Haven't seen a lot of shots from him here tonight. Playing in that midfield role. He's been just kind of controlling the middle half of the field. However, would not be surprised to see him get a shot any second here. He's shown he can score. As I mentioned, with that brace against Niles West. Parikh misread the play there. That would have been a good one with Mendoza coming in for the give and go. However, they can't sell it. The Lane Tech will get it back quickly. Now 2.5 to play in the first half. This first half has gone by pretty quickly. We only had 1 stoppage, I think, or 2 stoppages for injuries. But for the most part, clock has kept on going. There's been no goals scored. Lane Tech has controlled almost every single aspect of the game, but the Lake Forest defense doing what they need to do to keep this at a scoreless game. Gonna see an offensive chance here for the Scouts. Trying to send that in was Rice. He can't do it here, and now there'll be a turnover for Lane Tech. Mendoza has just been so excellent down in the final quarter of the defense for Lane Tech here today. He's just been all over the place. We've seen him have some chance on goal. We've seen him probably stop a goal earlier on this half, and there, once again, he's able to stop advancement of the ball in an important time as Dopp just running down the field here on the left-hand side. Gets control of his dribble. He's going to get tripped near the box, and they're going to blow his whistle. Lake Forest fans were not happy with that one, but Dopp went down pretty quickly, and Lane Tech is going to have their first free kick of the day, and it's coming in a pretty good position. We've seen they like to cross the ball off of their couple of corners here today towards the back side of the post. We'll see if they do that here. It's going to be Parikh, it looks like. Devin Parikh, the senior, coming in. He had an assist against Niles West. Would love to add one here. The kick in. This one, someone gets a foot on it, and in is a goal! Off the foot of number 4, Wilson Smijek. He exited the game earlier on with an injury. He comes back and gets his foot in the right place for the first goal of the game. And Lane Tech has taken a 1-0 lead with 42 seconds to go in the first half of play. No better way to come back from an injury like that. He didn't even stay out for the entire 40 minutes, wanted to get back into the game, and he finds himself in the right place at the right time, had a perfect touch, and then fires in that goal as Lane Tech takes a 1-0 lead. Lake Forest trying to respond quickly. The cross in goes straight into the hands of Rodriguez. A nice save there by the keeper for Lane Tech. And with 15 seconds left, I imagine Lane Tech's just going to try to burn some clock here. And this changes the whole pace of the game here. Lake Forest has been playing kind of a slow approach, but it's been working because they have not had a deficit to work from, as that's going to bring us to the end of one half of play. 1-0 the score. A 39th minute goal, you would say, with 42 seconds left, gives the 1-0 lead to Lane Tech as we enter the halftime break. And we'll just finish our thought there that we had there quickly for a second for Lake Forest. Apologies, folks. We're just making sure our camera is good here. And looks like it will be good. So, 1 second. We'll be right back. Apologies, folks. Back here, a 1-0 lead for Lane Tech over Lake Forest. We'll update our scoreboard in just a second here. Totally forgot to do that, but it is going to be a 1-0 lead for Lane Tech. What we were saying near the end of that half was Lake Forest had been playing very cautiously, but it was working out pretty well for them because they did not have to play in a deficit. They weren't really getting those shot chances, but it was okay. It was still 0-0. A draw, obviously not the result you want, but they could have pushed it in the second half. That is now completely changed. It's going to be interesting to see how Lake Forest reacts to that in the second half of play. I'm assuming it's going to mean a lot more shots up front. I'm assuming it's going to be really trying to push it there to Jack Rice and just see what this what this Lake Forest team can do offensively. We did not get to see a lot of shots. This team has shown they can be exciting. Through their first couple of games, they had some nice scoring performances. They had a goal against Carmel, and then they scored 3 goals against Lake to get to the 5th place game. So they have scored up to 3 in a game. They've actually conceded at least 2 in every game. So they've actually done a decent job of stopping Lane Tech in a defensive state of mind. However, that late goal there from the junior defender Wilson Smijak gives Lane Tech a 1-0 lead here as we head to the second half of play. I assumed it was going to be a longer halftime just because the game started on time, but looks like it's just going to be a 5-minute half. Both the teams kind of staying on the field. They're meeting at their respective goals, but this is going to be a quick-paced second half, and looks like we were just about right on our sunset prediction. The sun is almost completely away on the far side of the field behind the Lane Tech stands. It's going to be a second half under the lights. Lane Tech stadium lights are just starting to come on and starting to go into full force. The one thing is they do take some time to really take an effect, so the field's going to be kind of darker for a couple of minutes. However, we're still getting some of that late daylight on the field, so not exactly dark settings yet here for Lane Tech. Thanks for joining us. Alex Burstein on the call here from Lane Stadium. Lane with a 1-0 lead on their home opener game. Lane Tech's only going to have 3 games at home this year in the regular season. Kind of weird. Obviously, the stadium, it's hard to schedule home games because football uses it, soccer uses it, and it's not just Lane Tech. It's so many schools who want to use it. So Lane Tech only has 3 home games scheduled this year. So they're going to try to make the most of the games that they do have. Their next game on the road is going to be on Thursday against Whitney Young. That's going to be a 6:15 p.m. kickoff. That's always bound to be a good game whenever these two teams play in any sport. It's always a fun atmosphere, and we'll see what Lane can do in that one. Then they have 6 days off before facing off against Lakeview on September 7th. I believe that's next Wednesday. That's a 6 p.m. kickoff. And then they play Berwyn/Cicero Morden, one of the better teams in the area, on the 12th. They play Sen on the 14th, and they play Solorio on the 19th. And I just put their next 5 games on the schedule. I'm not actually sure when they play their next home game. I thought I wrote it down somewhere, but it is a long time before Lane Tech is going to return here to play at Lane Stadium. So they're not going to have this home field advantage for much longer. But Lane Tech has shown they can play on the road, and this team is really showing they are a force to be reckoned with in the Chicago Public League, in the IHSA. Coach Ricks told me earlier that the goal for this team is they want to show the state of Chicago they're the best boys public school soccer team. They want to show the state that they're a force to be reckoned with. Chicagoland Soccer did their top 25. Lane Tech did not break it. However, they were a team to watch, and if they can get a win here against the Lake Forest team, that is 3 suburban victories for Lane Tech. I mean, traditionally, suburban teams run a lot of the sports. They just often have more resources. Just their sports teams have often been better, and we especially see that in soccer sometimes. So this would be a very important win number 3 for Lane Tech. And what we've seen, once again, is just this defense for Lane. And this is my first time seeing Lane live. I watched their first game on stream, but just seeing them live, it's just so impressive to see how their defense and their offense have been flowing one into the other. Their defense has just not let the ball go into the defensive half of things basically at all. Lane Tech almost every single possession is keeping that at the 50, at the offensive 40. You've not seen a lot of chances for this Lake Forest team, which is obviously helpful as a soccer squad. And then their offense, they've been hammering in chances, but we mentioned it, the set pieces is where you want to see Lane Tech to go, because that's just the easiest way to score goals here in the high school level. That's what they did. They got the set piece goal off the foot of Wilson Chmijak. We didn't even mention it, but it was assisted by Devin Parikh, who had an excellent ball in off the free kick, and Lane Tech took a 1-0 lead there with 42 seconds left to go in the first half, and now we will see what they can do here in the second half. Still a pretty decent crowd on hand. We'll flash over to the Lane Tech crowd here to our right, and we'll also show you, you can see far in the distance, there is that Lane Tech stadium, not new scoreboard, but temporary scoreboard. CPL has done a really good job with updating some stuff with the stadium. We see a lot more CPL branding. There's a CPL logo right behind me on the press box. There is wrapping, I don't know what you would call it, signs all around. It's going to be a nice new public league scoreboard, which I know all players are going to appreciate, because one of the hardest things I imagine for any team playing at this field, it's just so hard to see how much time was left in the quarter, in the half, because it was just a clock was never working, or so hard to see on the old scoreboard. This one's actually much easier to see, and they're going to have a bigger and better scoreboard coming in the next couple of weeks. I think they said week 2 of football season. It is week 2 of football season, so I imagine it might be one more week or so, but soon enough, Lane Stadium is going to be back to having a really good scoreboard, and that is exactly what you want to see. I also think they're getting the speakers back in business, and Lane Stadium just gained some upgrades to an already very historic stadium as Lane Tech kicks it off, and we're underway here in the second half of play. A 1-0 lead for Lane Tech. Can they hold on? They have gone 200 minutes now on the season without giving up a goal. They'll look to make it 240. However, we see Lake Forest with some offensive momentum early on. An early shot there from number 10, Anton Kilbane. However, it's deflected by a Lane Tech defender, and they're going to change this into some offensive momentum for Lane. Far side, Parikh tries to cross it in, running just a little too fast there was Ruiz. He had been a second or two behind, probably would have gotten a nice foot on that and possibly had his 3rd goal of the season. So that was actually in the first half. Shimmy Jack, that is the 3rd goal scorer of the year for Lane. We had 1 for Holman in the opener, 2 for Ruiz. Lane's actually yet to have more than 1 player score in any contest. We'll see if they can do that here in the second half. That's a nice try there by Rice to slow the ball down, but it ended up going right back to Lane Tech. 38:50 now to go in the second half of play. Thanks for joining us. Alex Burstein on the call here from Lane Stadium. The wind is picking up, and it's definitely dropped a little bit. It was around 78 degrees at kickoff. It was short sleeve and shorts weather. It's gotten a lot colder here as they're going to punch this ball away from number 9, Juan Garcia, who's getting, I think this might be his first minutes of the game here to start off the second half. He was actually the one who did that kickoff to start the second half. It's like Tech's going to have a deep throw in there. However, the Scouts will get it back quickly. Seeing a lot of energy out of the Scouts team. Had that one early possession in the offensive zone. We'll see if they can get a second one here. Ruiz near the midpoint line. Gets to the far side. However, Parikh with a not so solid touch there. Parikh was excellent in those final couple of plays of the first half. That was very impressive from him, and after kind of being silent through the first couple, for the first 30 minutes or so, Parikh had a very big role there near the end of the half. Rodriguez trying to get the ball out quickly. Some nice pressure applied there by the Scouts striker, and Rodriguez has to run back to go to the goal. I think he thought it was a throw-in for Lane, and ended up being a throw-in for Lake Forest. And the Scouts applying some pressure. Rice here, far side, tries to cross it in. And he's going to pass it up. Seems as if Rice here, a little hesitant here. He's trying to get all the shots. We have not seen a lot of passing deep in the zone from him. That could have been a cross, but it looked more like he was trying to shoot from near the side of the goal. That would have been a very tough shot. So we'll see what the strategy here is. If it's just get Jack Rice, your leading goal scorer, as many shots as possible, or if Lake Forest tries for a little more teamwork near the box here, offensive box here in the second half. Right in front of us, punching that out is going to be Enrique Alvarado. A couple of subs. Seems like almost everyone's gone into the game here. Saf Farouk, also a new player into the game, is going to throw it into Garcia. Alvarez fighting for it. That one's going to go off the foot of Ruprecht. And one thing I've just been able to notice when the play's really close to us, these Lake Forest players, when they're making mistakes, they are not happy. Like, they have been making some mistakes that I'm assuming are kind of uncharacteristic for them, because there's been a lot of plays tonight they are not happy with. Rodriguez trying to chase it in. A risky play there. He's going to fall to the ground, and hopefully he's okay. Must have gotten tripped up by the player there, and looks like he's in a little bit of pain over there. He's able to get up on his own. We'll see if Lane Tech sends the trainer or not. This would be a big loss for Lane Tech, and he's going to head back to the goal. I'll be honest, I was a little surprised Rodriguez did that play there. He came out, there was 3 defenders who could have pretty easily done the same play he did, but he wanted to take control of the situation and punch it out of bounds, and we'll see if Lane Tech can get possession back after this free throw. That was a result there of the risky play from Rodriguez. Garcia trying to handle it. And now a header from Garcia. Is this going to give Lane Tech a little bit of room to run? Garcia gets his shot deflected there on the other side of things. Alvarez trying to keep down possession and just booting it up the field there for the Scouts is going to be Ruprecht. Who's had a lot of touches here early on in the first couple of minutes of this second half. 34-35 left in the second half of play. It took 39 minutes and change in the first half to score a goal, so we were reminded you can score at any time here, as the cross from Brennan Riley ended up being more of a shot, and Rodriguez was there to scoop it up. Looks like it's going to be a nice sunset here at Lane Stadium. You can probably see it a little bit on the top of your screen here. One of the more iconic venues in the public league and really in the IHSA, and a beautiful spot for some Tuesday night soccer. Lane Tech looking to get to 3-0 on this young season. Lane Tech has traditionally been one of the powerhouses in the public league. 2 years ago, they fell in the city championship game. Last year, they didn't even make it. They fell in the semis to a Payton team that had an excellent team last year. Their last state title coming in 2019 when they won against Solorio. That was a super fun game. I was there. I was actually there at their last 2 city championship games in 2019 and 2020. When the whole student body's out to support this soccer team, very fun. They had a couple girls games like that last year, and it's just always very fun when the whole Lane Tech student body comes out to support. As another cross in, Garcia on the far side, trying to settle it with his chest and unable to get a shot. Holman gets it to Dopp and unable to get a play on his lane here. Holman's going to receive it around the 30, tried a long pass there, and it is going to stay in bounds. And Lane Tech will keep possession. They play it back here to Smijak. The 1 goal scorer on the day for Lane. 32-40 to go here. Another cross in. This one is going to, oh, they called it offsides there. Almost an excellent goal there. I think that was off the foot of Ruiz, actually. However, the ref called offsides. I was seeing why the players weren't celebrating, but then we saw that the ref on the near side had his arm up, so that will be an offsides. A little bit of a countermeasure here from Lake Forest. Ref blows his whistle. The Scouts play it quickly. They thought they had a little bit of a numbers advantage, but I think it was quite the opposite. Lane Tech looked to have 2 or 3 more guys back on defense. It's been a numbers game all day long for Lane Tech. Seems like, especially on the defensive side, but also on the offensive side of things, they've just found ways to almost always have more players in the right spot at the right side, at the right time, excuse me. As they're going to try to send Garcia again. Seems like they're hopeful he can get a strong shot here. The forward unable to convert there. Saruk plays it back to the Scouts, but he gets it back quickly. Holman with it near midfield. Almost a turnover there, but Lane Tech, nice job with some ball movement here. These midfielders have been playing very well. And a couple of these defenders, too, have been playing kind of a defensive mid position here. Been very impressive here today for Lane Tech. 31 minutes to go here in the second half of play, as Ruiz with a weak touch there. Looks like the ball was just a little bit out of his reach, and then we'll go straight to Charlie Walsh, the junior, who has had a pretty excellent game here today other than that one goal given up. It was a hard goal to save. I would not have been able to save it. A lot of goalies would not have been able to save it. Other than that, he's done very good stepping into this goalie role for the Scouts. And now we'll see the defense and goalkeeping have mostly done their job here for the Scouts. We'll see if the offense can reward them with a tying goal here. 30 minutes, 20 seconds to go in half number 2 of play. It's going to be a long free kick here. Looks like they're trying to get into the box, but Lane Tech finds a head on it, and Ruiz is going to punch it out. 4-on-5. Lane Tech does not have the numbers here. However, they're still going to try to send an offensive attack. Ruiz plays a little too far there on the far side, though, and the Scouts will get it back. It's been a little more back and forth here with possession in the second half of things. However, we still have not seen a lot of deep field chances. To use a football term, we could say we haven't seen a lot of red zone chances inside the 20-yard line for the Scouts here tonight. Missed opportunity there. Bounces right away from Bowden Ruprecht, who would have had an open shot on the goal. As we're going to see a sub into the game here for the Lane soccer team. It looks like Winston coming in here for the champions. Lane Tech champions taking on Lake Forest Scouts here. It's weird. I've not used champions on a broadcast since Lane Tech officially changed their symbol here, but I guess we can go with that after calling them the Lane Tech whatever sport they were playing team for the last 12, 15 months. Nice move there, getting it through the legs of one of the defenders by Riley, but he coughs it up, and here comes Lane Tech on the run. Garcia on the near side, controls his dribble, gives it to Alvarado. They'll get to Holman. We've seen Holman, he had a big shot that got deflected earlier on, but he's not afraid to take shots from far out. As they're going to give it again to Garcia. Garcia is playing a lot. They're playing almost every single play off of Garcia here. It's been very impressive the role he has come into here in the second half of play. And now Lane Tech is going to have a free throw deep in offensive territory. With that, Scouts are going to have a sub as coming into the game is going to be number 16, the junior Griffin Warner. Teams have done a good job here early on of subbing players in and out. We've seen almost, I don't know if every player, but a good chunk of players on both teams come in and play for both of these squads. As Lane Tech's going to have another free throw here. 27:45 to go in the second half. Seen Lane Tech have a couple of chances in the box here early on. Nothing too spectacular. Ruiz had a nice chance earlier on in the half. However, the ball was a little too far for him to get a solid shot on it. So Lane Tech's still waiting for that shining moment like they had in the first half. And, I mean, I'd honestly be guessing they're most wanting either a corner or a free kick. On every single corner or free kick, they've either scored a goal or had a pretty good chance at scoring a goal here. Their set-piece crosses in have just been excellent here today. They don't play anything short, which you see a lot of teams today playing the short corners. Lane Tech has not done that here today. They've had 5 attempts to cross it in off of a set-piece every single time they have. And one of the times it worked, 4 other times it got close to working. And we'll see if they can get possibly another one to work here as we reach the 26:40 mark to go here in half number 2 of play. Ball misplayed off the foot there of Jaya, the junior defenseman here for the Scouts. And they're going to volley it back and forth, the two teams, for a second before getting it under control here is going to be Ruiz. Rodriguez comes out of the goal and is going to scoop that one up. Lake Forest fans thought that chasing onto that one, Tyler Bernstein had a chance at that one. Bernstein has been very impressive. He's probably been the player I've been most impressed with here through the first 30, doing some quick math here. 55 minutes of play in this contest. He's had some chances late in the offensive zone. He's also had some good passes, and he's come back on defense a couple times, even though he's playing that striker or attacking mid position. But he's had a good impact, and we'll see if he can help these Scouts get back into this one. There was a miscommunication there on some play between Lane Tech, but they were still able to get it. They're going to send this one here on the near side, but unable to get to it is number 17, Nolan Moss. Gonna send another one here to Moss. This time he gets a foot on it, trying to recover quickly. He does, and plays it back here to Ruiz. There's only a couple of players who have been playing almost the entire time or the entire time. We've seen Holman do it. We've seen Ruiz do it. You really see who Ricks thinks is a player who should play all 80 minutes. As another one in, and that's a goal! Juan Garcia, after a couple of chances earlier in the half, pockets one to the back of the net, and Lane Tech takes a 2-0 lead here with 24:40 to go in half number 2. An excellent shot there from Lane Tech. They've been crowding the box all night long, and this one pays off as they get the second goal, and this one makes it a lot more comfortable for Lane Tech now with 24 minutes to go, 24:20 I should say to go in the second half of play. So Lane Tech now has the first time this season that they have had multiple scores. Garcia becomes the 4th player to score for Lane Tech this season, and Lane Tech has just now, their goal differential on the season is now up to 5 goals scored, none against them. And through 3 games, almost 3 games, that is really impressive. They'll try to maybe add another one here. The most goals they've scored in the game is 2. That was last week against Niles West on Thursday. Lane Tech actually had a pretty long break in between games. I forgot to mention this, but their last game was on Thursday. Now playing here again on Tuesday. That's about a 5-day break. But they're showing no signs of rust. A 2-0 lead here now over the Scouts with 23:30 to go in half number 2 of play. Moss receives it, gives it back to Ruiz. See, almost got a touch on that. Instead, they're going to give it to the far side. Lane Tech now with another chance here to possibly cross it in. Instead, they'll play it back to number 25. Excuse me, it looks like number 26 there. Dopp. And Lane Tech will get another free throw. Lane Tech has continued to control possession here in the second half of play. Seems like a lot of attention has been focused on keeping Ruiz from getting shots, as this one, a monster shot from Holman. There was some weird movement on that shot. It dipped at the very end. However, a nice job there getting on top of it. Charlie Walsh, he actually kind of batted it away. It fell away from him for a second. However, he's able to recover and keep this at a 2-goal deficit currently for the Scouts. As we'll see a couple of players come into the game. Garcia exits, Dopp exits, and it looks like coming in is going to be Diaz, as well as on the front there, Frampton. Both check in. They were starters on this squad, and now they come back in for some second half action. Pete passes it far side, now back to Smijak. Obviously a 2-goal lead for Lane Tech, but Smijak's first half goal is still the difference maker in that one. You can still argue that's the most important goal we've seen here today. Gave Lane Tech that goal, gave Lane Tech, seems like a new sort of confidence here. They were playing confident through out the whole half, but that was the first time a couple minutes ago they were really able to organize their in-the-box cluther and get some scoring out of it. So Lane Tech has improved play after a very good second half for an even better, after a very good first half for an even better second half of play. As Lane tries Lake Forest tries a long cross in. Moss gets it. They're going to try a give and go there with Winston. Winston can't get the go part, however, Lane Tech still comes down with possession. Must have hit a player's hand, though, there, as they're going to say. It goes back to Lake Forest. Mentioned this earlier, but it has been a pretty clean game here so far for both of these squads. We've not seen a lot of penalties, really. The only time the refs have blown the whistles have been for stuff like that, non-fouls, just handballs or whatnot. It's kept the pace of this game going, and I think that's in favor of Lane Tech. That is what has been, not the only factor, but that has been helping Lane Tech here. Just having the pace keep on going. They've been in control, and there hasn't been a lot of stoppages for them to kind of lose that momentum. So the momentum they started with 10 minutes ago, you could say, they're still running after, because it's just been almost a continuous stretch here for this team. Rodriguez has done an excellent job in goal here. Hasn't had to have any crazy saves or anything, but has not made any mistakes to keep this at a 2-goal lead for Lane Tech. Scouts thought they had a throw in there, but they'll say it's for Lane Tech instead. That's a monster kick there from Gonzalez. We'll see if anyone can chase it down. Frampton trying to get ahead on it, and they said Frampton pushed the defender in front of him, so Lake Forest will get it back. Playing the long ball there is going to be number 3, Jaya. Diaz gets a nice first touch. He still has it. Trying to turn here. Was looking for maybe a quick shot there. Did not get it off, but he's going to get it back. And Diaz places it back here to Holman. Lake Forest again trying to cross Dan. Lane Tech has done a really good job. We have not seen a single scoring opportunity in this second half from Jack Rice, the leading scorer for this team. Any of the other players that have scored for Lake Forest so far this season, they just have not had chances here early on, and that is what has kept Lane Tech in the lead here. They've done a great job keeping this Lake Forest offense quiet. Lake Forest was quiet in their last game against Lake Forest Academy. They fell 3-0 in that one, and they're at risk at going 2 straight games without scoring a goal here with 18:20 to go in the game here. Frampton trying to chase down this ball. He's going to have himself a nice defensive matchup and forces the turnover there off the foot of Schabacher. A nice shot in off the top of the goal post there. That would have been an excellent goal there for Lane Tech. A very nice save by Walsh, who got his fingertips on that one and will stay at 2-0. That one probably would have been the cherry on top for Lane Tech, going up 3-0 with 17:30 to go here. Still a 2-0 lead is pretty convincing, but I'm sure they would love another goal for some insurance. First game here this afternoon was a 3-0 game between Lane Tech and Lake Forest Junior Varsity. That was only in 60 minutes, though, so Lane Tech's going to have an extra 20 minutes on the varsity side of things to try to get to that 3-goal mark as Pete plays it back to Rodriguez. Chasing after it is Rice. Rodriguez does not have a lot of time. He was ready for a big kick, but instead he has to play it short there to Pete. And Holman here now to clear it. Frampton tries to get a foot on it, instead goes past both him and his defender, but Holman is there and he's pushing the pace. Plays it here near side to Moss. Lane Tech in motion. 16:45 to go, half number 2. Moss crosses it in, and a diving catch there by Walsh. He's not been afraid to put his body on the line here to try to keep his team in this one. We mentioned at halftime it would take a little while for the lights to take full effect here at Lane Stadium, and how the field was dark for a couple of minutes. They are now fully in effect. You can probably see it on your screen. A pretty lit up Lane Stadium field right now, which is exactly probably what the players want. Lights obviously a very good part of this Lane Stadium where games can go on pretty late. I know Friday night Lane Tech has a football game. That's at 7:15. It's the first home game. Probably will go 9:30, possibly later. It'll be pitch black, but these lights just so helpful here at Lane Stadium. 15:45 to go here in the second half of play. Lane Tech has been one of the more successful teams in the Chicago Public Premier North in this non-conference part of the season. They're actually the only team that's undefeated. Amundsen's yet to play a game. However, Lincoln Park has the most wins. They're 5-1-1. They've just been playing. I didn't look at their schedule, but they must have been playing games like every other day, because the first day that games were allowed was last Monday, which is 8 days ago, and they've played 7 games, so not even every other day. The Lions have been playing almost every single day here, and they've been having some success. That'll be an interesting matchup when those two face off. As the long free kick in, controlled by Lake Forest, and they'll send it up. That was Smijak who had the free kick. That was a booming one. Took from around the 50-yard line. So went at least, I think, 45 yards there. So one nice thing about having the yardage here on the field, you can easily tell how far out a strike is, shot or a free kick for either one of these squads. As here we see some momentum for Lake Forest. They're going to try to kick it in. That was Alex Giangiori with the pass. Giangiori actually gets it back. And they'll try a little floater in. I assume that was for Rice because he was the closest man to the ball. However, he cannot control it, and Lane will get it back. 14 minutes now to go in the second half of the home opener for Lane Tech. They've had success through the first 65 minutes of play. They're hoping to close it out in the final 15. A final goal here would help, as they're going to get it to Alvarado. From Gonzalez. Some nice moves there for Emiliano Gonzalez. Lane Tech's been switching out the right side of field positions a lot, which makes it a lot of substitutions to keep track of. They'll get it down low here to Ruiz. Almost had a nice ball there to Frampton. However, some nice defense off the foot of one of the scout defenders. Looks like that's number 3, Jaya. And another turnover here off the foot of Duras. What? Like 5 minutes. Apologies, folks, here. Back here at Lane Stadium, 2-0 the score, 12:50 to go in in the second half of play. Nearing the end of this one, Lane Tech going to send a couple more subs onto the field, making his debut in this game is going to be not his debut. He started, but has not been in for a while. Number 21, Diego Maldonado, and it looks like also coming in is going to be Alan Zavala, who we saw have some nice chances there near the end of the first half when he came in. Was not able to capitalize on any of them, but they really like playing it into those front strikers, and we'll see what they can do here. Ruiz loses it. I think one of the biggest problems we have seen here for Lake Forest is so many of their kicks, there's Lane Tech guys coming in with pressure, and because of that, they just have not been able to get a lot of clean kicks up the field where they know it's going to end up with one of their teammates. A lot of times it's just been kind of scrambling. They kick it up the field, and Lane Tech has had control of, I want to say, 80% of those. It might even be a higher margin. They've been so good at controlling those 50-50 balls here. As Zavala tries a quick pass there, but coming out of nowhere for the Scouts was Giangiori, who has a nice challenge here from Diaz. Diaz right foot try to get it in for a final shot there, but some nice defense from the scouts. Now Holman trying to get the shot, the pass to Zavala. Instead, it goes all the way to the goal and scooped once again by Walsh. Holman rushes once again. He has a lot of energy considering the amount of time he has played here. He actually just rolled over a player there. Ref doesn't blow his whistle there. Not sure which player just stopped moving there as the shot scooped up there. A long shot there from Gonzalez on the far side for Lane Tech. We've really only seen 1 to 3 shots on goal all day long for the Lake Forest Scouts. Lane Tech, I imagine they're at least at 7 or 8. Had a couple of headers in the first half, obviously 2 goals and just a couple more attempts where they're just getting the ball into the goalie's hands. Which is what you want to see, even if it's not going in the net, seeing close chances. We mentioned this in the opening. The key to the game for Lane Tech was finishing on chances. That was something that Coach Ricks thought the team needed to improve upon. They finished on 2 chances here. There's probably a couple more chances they could have expanded their lead on here, but for the most part, Lane Tech has done what they needed to do to stay in this one. Under 10 minutes now to go in the second half. Home opener for Lane Tech. Diaz got that one off of one bounce, sailed it to the right of the goalpost. Probably would have been good for a field goal had it been about 15 feet or so to the left-hand side. Had some nice height to it. As getting it back is going to be Ruiz. The sky, a beautiful orange right now in the distance. You can see it at the top of your screen here. It's one of my favorite parts about covering games here at Lane Stadium. The afternoon to evening games. You just always get to see the beautiful sunset here at Lane Stadium. And also some beautiful soccer. Lane Tech, they're passing here. We haven't talked about much of the time, but it's been an excellent part of their game. It's led them to their chances. So we see a turnover there, but there's not been a lot of turnovers for them on the offensive side of things, as hammering in another chance, just going wide, is going to be Gonzalez. He's been playing more in the back, but these last couple of minutes, he's just hammered 2 chances into the goal box, and they both went a little too far right, but we see some nice power off the foot there of Gonzalez. Miscommunication there with the goalie. Duras coming in to try to force a late area turnover, and that's going to go off of Lake Forest. So Lane Tech's going to get a turnover close to their goal, right next to the corner kick flag, and goes off the foot of one of the Lake Forest defenders here. Looks like we have some baseball action over at Carywood. I believe the RBI League getting going this week or last week, but always nice to see some baseball. Lane's Gymnasium, probably not in use tonight, but it's nice to see all the athletic facilities once again in use after a quiet summer of no athletics. I don't know why, but it felt like such a long break between the end of the spring season and the start of the fall season here this past year, as Lake Forest once again has their chance swatted away on that last line of Lane Tech defense. I'm sure Rodriguez is going to be saying a big thanks to his last line of defenders here after this game. The goalkeeper for Lane has not had to do much work here today to keep this at a clean sheet. As a shot in there from Ruiz bounces off the gloves of Walsh, who scoops in to save it. 7:14 now to go in the second half of this one. Lane Tech still for the 2-goal lead. Pluta tried to control it there, but coughed it up. He comes back onto it trying to redeem himself, though, and Lane Tech will get possession, so it works. Holman trying to get past 3 guys. I will say Lake Forest has done a good job of identifying some of the top players like Holman here in the final 40 minutes of play and just putting so many players onto them. So like Holman has not had as many chances to advance up the field, but it's because there's just been so much defense on him. as Pete gets it into Holman. Speaking of the defender, far side, Zavala passes it out. DeRoss. 6:15 now to go. Lane Tech trying to put one more goal in the back of the net. In some games this season, 2 goals is not going to be enough. It looks like it most likely will here tonight. As almost in the air there by Rodriguez. Coming in for that was Rice. He gets it off quickly. But at some point this season, Lane Tech's going to need to score more than 1 or 2 goals in a game to score. Most likely, they're not going to be having scoreless games every single game of this season's, shutout games every single game of this season. So we'll see how the Lane Tech offense adjusts to that. They're obviously playing a pretty solid Lake Forest defense here today, but obviously the coaching staff would like to see as many goals as possible. As a screamer just misses. A nice save there by Rodriguez. Really had to get on the ground for one of the first times here tonight. That one was off, I think, the left foot there of Rice, or it might have been Bernstein here, trying to see if that was 9 or 19 with the shot. Either way, a nice save by Gael Rodriguez. 4-lane sack. They're going to push it on the other side. Pluta, who suddenly has a big impact on this game. He's been getting a lot of touches these last few times as Diaz rockets one off his right foot, unable to find the back of the net. Pete trying to control the ball. It's going to go all the way back to Dopp, who unable to control a little bit back and forth here. Under 5 minutes to play, 4:40 to go in this one. A couple of subs coming into the game for Lane Tech. Lane Tech has been able to get playing time for almost all of their players here. There's a couple names I see who I don't think have gone in, but for the most part, a lot of players gained some playing time. Lane Tech with 23 players on their roster, 22 for Lake Forest, so not super big teams for either one of these squads, but not super small either. They have enough for 2 teams to play, so they've been able to keep their legs fresh. Obviously, with the high school subbing, you can do, I believe, as much as you want, so teams are making use of that. As we reach the 4-minute to go mark here in the second half of play. Chasing up here on the near side is going to be Ruiz. Pluta using that left foot. Finds Moss, trying to give and go there with Ruiz, who slid at the last second, trying to keep this one in play. A nice effort there by the junior, but unable to save it. Ruiz has had a big impact on this game, even without scoring. He's been very impressive. Also impressive in kind of the attacking mid-role was Matthew Mendoza. Those two. Mendoza is a senior, but Ruiz is just a junior. Ruiz also had a big impact as a sophomore. Just a very impressive player. A lot of impressive guys on this squad, and this is showing that it could be a very successful season for Lane Tech if they're able to keep this up over the next month or half or so as this season develops. Holman trying to find his way into the box, and they're going to call offsides there. Second offsides called this half against Lane Tech. Can't quite catch who that is. It might be Parikh on the far side. That's a position he was playing in a couple of minutes ago. As Walsh falls while trying to do the goal kick. Still able to get it up the field. Bouncing around at the 50-yard line. 2.5 minutes of play left in this one. Lane Tech just trying to burn some time now as they see a 3-0 record coming up pretty soon. So it's going to be their toughest test of the season. Lane Tech struggled for the first 39 minutes to find the goal. They found it off a set piece from Devin Parikh on to the foot of Wilson Smijak, who had a second chance goal, or I don't know if it was a second chance goal, hit his foot, and then he was able to fire a shot as here comes Pluta racing down, 3-on-3. Lane Tech bringing in numbers here on with the 4th and 5th guy coming up. Fire a pass to the far side here. Top of the key, Diaz with it. For a Lake Forest defender tripped there, but was able to get back into it quickly, so they'll play it back out. Maldonado gets it to Holman, far side. Some of the most pressure we've seen from Lane Tech on the offensive side of things in the last 10 minutes or so. They had slowed down a little bit as the minutes clicked down. Maldonado fires a long shot, and that one would be good for 3 in football. However, it's just going to go out of bounds here for some Tuesday night soccer. Just over a minute to go here as the clock is going to tick to 59 seconds here in the game. Lane Tech looking to close this one up. It's been a fun afternoon into evening of soccer for Lane Tech. They've shown that they really have all the components that you'd want in a team down. They scored off of set pieces. They scored not off a set piece. Their defense was very solid. Their offense was solid. And that defense-to-offense transition was solid. So, obviously, there's always things to work on, especially early in the season. But this is a very good place to start if you are this Lane Tech team and you win one of your 3 home games here, your first one of the season. So, always nice to do that in front of a pretty good home crowd here for Lane Tech on this Tuesday night. 15 seconds to go. Lake Forest seeing if they can maybe get on the scoreboard once, pushing it here as the clock ticks towards 10 seconds. Going to be turned over here. Holman just boots it up the field. And that should do it here from Lane Stadium. A 2-0 lead, a 2-0 win for Lane. They get it over Lake Forest. Another tough matchup for Lane Tech against a suburban opponent, but they take it in stride. A shutout victory for the 3rd time this season as Lane advances to 3-0 on this young year. They win their home opener. They get the 2-0 lead, 2-0 win, and now they'll try to take that momentum into their rivalry matchup on Thursday against Whitney Young. As we mentioned, that is set for a 6:15 p.m. kickoff. 2 goals this afternoon were brought to you by Wilson Smijek with 42 seconds to go in the first half. And then later in the second half, I think 24 minutes, I didn't write down, but I'm pretty sure 24 minutes off the foot of Juan Garcia to give Lane Tech a 2-0 win in this one. And just an overall very impressive performance here from Lane Tech, who have now scored 5 goals, given up 0 goals here on this young season. We were kind of wrapping it up there in the last minute of play, but just an all-around victory for Lane Tech. There's not a lot of negatives you can take out of this one. They shut down Jack Rice. They shut down that front line of offense for the Lake Forest Scouts. And on the offensive side of things, they found chances, they found goals when they needed it, and they take home the victory here today. That's just about going to do our coverage here tonight from Lane Stadium. As we mentioned, the next time you can catch Lane Tech in action will be on Thursday against the Whitney Young Dolphins. That is at Whitney Young. We won't have a broadcast for that, but if you want to check it out, it's a 6:15 p.m. kickoff as Lane Tech is going to come clap to their fans who had a great showing here tonight at Lane Stadium. But that's just about going to do all of our coverage here tonight. Your final score from Lane Stadium: Lane Tech 2, Lake Forest 0. My name is Alex Burstein. Good night.